Chapter 2. After combating for nearly a week the feeling which impelled me to revisit the place I had quitted under the circumstances already detailed, I yielded to it at length, and determining that this time I would present myself by the light of day, bent my steps thither early in the morning. I walked past the house and took several turns in the street, with that kind of hesitation which is natural to a man who is conscious that the visit he is about to pay is unexpected and may not be very acceptable. However, as the door of the shop was shut, and it did not appear likely that I should be recognized by those within, if I continued merely to pass up and down before it, I soon conquered this irresolution, and found myself in the curiosity dealer's warehouse. The old man and another person were together in the back part, and there seemed to have been high words between them, for their voices, which were raised to a very high pitch, suddenly stopped on my entering, and the old man, advancing hastily towards me, said in a tremulous tone that he was very glad I had come. "You interrupted us at a critical moment," said he, pointing to the man whom I had found in company with him. "This fellow will murder me one of these days. He would have done so long ago, if he had dared." "Bah! You would swear away my life if you could," returned the other after bestowing a stare and a frown on me. "We all know that." "I almost think I could," cried the old man, turning feebly upon him. "If oaths or prayers or words could rid me of you, they should. I would be quit of you and would be relieved if you were dead." "I know it," returned the other. "I said so, didn't I? But neither oaths or prayers nor words will kill me, and therefore I live, and mean to live." "And his mother died," cried the old man, passionately clasping his hands and looking upward. "And this is heaven's justice." The other stood lounging with his foot upon a chair, and regarded him with a contemptuous sneer. He was a young man of 21 or thereabouts, well made, and certainly handsome, though the expression of his face was far from prepossessing, having in common with his manner and even his dress a dissipated, insolent air which repelled one. "Justice or no justice," said the young fellow, "here I am, and here I shall stop till such time as I think fit to go, unless you send for assistance to put me out, which you won't do, I know. I tell you again that I want to see my sister." "Your sister," said the old man bitterly. "Ah, you can't change the relationship," returned the other. "If you could, you'd have done it long ago. I want to see my sister, and that you keep cooped up here, poisoning her mind with your sly secrets and pretending an affection for her that you may work her to death and add a few scraped shillings every week to the money you can hardly count. I want to see her, and I will. Here's a moralist to talk of poisoned minds. Here's a generous spirit to scorn scraped-up shillings," cried the old man, turning from him to me. "A profligate, sir, who has forfeited every claim not only upon those who have the misfortune to be of his blood, but upon society which knows nothing of him but his misdeeds. A liar, too," he added in a lower voice as he drew closer to me, "who knows how dear she is to me, and seeks to wound me even there, because there is a stranger nearby." "Strangers are nothing to me, grandfather," said the young fellow, catching at the word. "Nor I to them, I hope. The best they can do is to keep an eye to their business and leave me to mine. There's a friend of mine waiting outside, and as it seems that I may have to wait some time, I'll call him in with your leave." Saying this, he stepped to the door, and looking down the street beckoned several times to some unseen person, who, to judge from the air of impatience with which these signals were accompanied, required a great quantity of persuasion to induce him to advance. At length there sauntered up, on the opposite side of the way, with a bad pretense of passing by accident, a figure conspicuous for its dirty smartness, which, after a great many frowns and jerks of the head, in resistance of the invitation, ultimately crossed the road and was brought into the shop. "There, it's Dick Swiveller," said the young fellow, pushing him in. "Sit down, Swiveller." "But is the old min agreeable?" said Mr. Swiveller in an undertone. Mr. Swiveller complied, and looking about him with a propitiatory smile, observed that last week was a fine week for the ducks, and this week was a fine week for the dust. He also observed that while standing by the post at the street corner, he had observed a pig with a straw in his mouth issuing out of the tobacco shop, from which appearance he augured that another fine week for the ducks was approaching, and that rain would certainly ensue. He furthermore took occasion to apologize for any negligence that might be perceptible in his dress, on the ground that last night he had had the sun very strong in his eyes, by which expression he was understood to convey to his hearers, in the most delicate manner possible, the information that he had been extremely drunk. "But what," said Mr. Swiveller with a sigh, "what is the odds, so long as the fire of soul is kindled at the taper of conviviality, and the wing of friendship never molts a feather? What is the odds, so long as the spirit is expanded by means of rosy wine, and the present moment is the least happiest of our existence?" "You needn't act the chairman here," said his friend, half aside. "Fred," cried Mr. Swiveller, tapping his nose, "a word to the wise is sufficient for them. We may be good and happy without riches, Fred. Say not another syllable. I know my cue. Smart is the word. Only one little whisper, Fred. Is the old min friendly?" "Never you mind," replied his friend. "Right again, quite right," said Mr. Swiveller. "Caution is the word, and caution is the act." With that he winked as if in preservation of some deep secret, and folding his arms and leaning back in his chair, looked up at the ceiling with profound gravity. It was, perhaps, not very unreasonable to suspect from what had already passed that Mr. Swiveller was not quite recovered from the effects of the powerful sunlight to which he had made allusion. But if no such suspicion had been awakened by his speech, his wiry hair, dull eyes, and sallow face would still have been strong witnesses against him. His attire was not, as he had himself hinted, remarkable for the nicest arrangement, but was in a state of disorder which strongly induced the idea that he had gone to bed in it. It consisted of a brown body coat with a great many brass buttons up the front and only one behind, a bright check neckerchief, a plaid waistcoat, soiled white trousers, and a very limp hat, worn with the wrong side foremost, to hide a hole in the brim.